Kia ora and welcome to Oho Ake Books. My name is Farrell. In 2018, one of my friends who I still work with introduced me to a cat called Dark Journalist, Daniel Liszt, on YouTube. And my entire understanding of history, the mystery schools, and public mystery schools and private mystery schools went into the stratosphere. My understanding of the UFO file, not only in the United States but across the world, and my understanding of hidden technologies from ancient civilizations, and also my understanding of a number of other issues, other mainstream and public situations we find ourselves in. It was like the pieces of the puzzle that I'd been missing for many years all came together. Like I have research, I have blah 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 blah. I have researchers in my life that I have followed for many years who have shown me incredible amounts of information which I've discerned and looked at, and I've gone, wow, unfucking believable. Like David Icke, for example, is a classic example for me of someone who's brought into my life so much information, and so much information that I've discerned through, and the nuggets of truth that I have found in there have helped my personal development immensely, and my writing processes immensely, and the information I've gleaned from what he's researched and what I've seen him talk about live 3 times has been instrumental and has been massive for me in regards to my own personal development and conscious evolution processes and my creative processes. But this cat, Dark Journalist, took me to a whole new level. Now, if David Icke was allowing me to look through the IMAX lens at history, the IMAX lens of history, rather than the mainstream looking through the iPhone or the camera phone lens at history, Daniel Liszt and Dark Journalist, the work he presents and the people that he brings on to talk to, he interacts with and talks to, that lens went from being IMAX to probably drive-in movie theatre size, which is probably about the same size as an IMAX cinema, but just trying to find something different than IMAX, to a drive-in cinema-sized lens of history. And I began to see that once again, Icke and Dark Journalist are two pieces of the same puzzle for me. Two pieces of the same puzzle. And what Dark Journalist brought with him was these people into my sphere of influence and my understanding of a reality, but also information that presented itself about history. And all of it, I mean, this cat's, everything he brings to his videos is all on the record. The mystery schools, public mystery schools, the historical events, the historical figures, the information that he's researched and he's gleaned from his research is incredible. He goes so deep. And the people that he brings into the research and the stuff that he brings forth through the X series, which is basically bringing out the hidden occult knowledge and information, technological advancements through history, from Atlantis, through ancient Egypt, through other cultures, through the mystery schools, private mystery schools, into the public mystery schools, theosophy, Edgar Cayce's work, anthroposophy, the Gurdjieff Fourth Way work, and on and on. He's also brought people into the present day, brought people, mystery school adepts, and also psychic intuitives like G.G. Young, who I've been following for many years as well, thanks to Dark Journalist. Also historical researchers who have the most incredible recall and also understanding of history, like the Joseph P. Farrell, whose work on Nazi International alone has helped me to begin the work of writing the book with Dick Swabb, Rigmarole. His work on Nazi International and beyond that, Dr. Joseph P. Farrell's work is just off the charts. I mean, unbelievable, man. This cat is just, whew, so great. So I love listening to Dr. Farrell talk with Dark Journalist. He's just incredible. What I learned when I watched this cat talk, man, it's just blows my mind. And to me, the process of what I'm learning by listening to this cat talk and his recall of information and names is very Ickish, very Icke-esque in the nature of what he's bringing to every interview he has with dark journalists. And his speculations, to me, all have a ring of truth to them. When he goes out on a speculative limb about a situation or about a particular predicament we find ourselves in, or a historical event, I think that he always comes to that position from a place of deep understanding. But for me, what I've learned about history, and what I've learned about the public mystery schools, and how those public mystery schools and the knowledge that they brought out in the 1870s, 80s, 90s, early 1900s, up until the mid 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, with people like Rudolf Steiner, Madame Blavatsky, Ouspensky, Gurdjieff. Did I say Edgar Cayce? Edgar Cayce. The information that those people have brought out into the public, and the knowledge that they've brought out into the public as they saw this advancement into a materialistic scientific methodology that would change the world to the position we find ourselves in now as we move towards a blatant transhumanist agenda. That these incredible mystery school adepts came forward in the 1900s, in the late 1800s, early 20th century, early 20th century, late 1900s century. The information that they brought forward into the public sphere was so important, because and you see that information they brought out, and this cat Daniel Liszt, dark journalist, has brought forward, and you see that the fact that the information that he brought forward and he's been bringing out over the last 3 or 4 years with the X series has shown that we are in a place where these mystery school adepts, these public mystery school adepts that gave us the knowledge 100 years ago, were spot on, and how prevalent that information is now in the world we find ourselves in today, and how we've got the tools, thanks to the figures like the Gurdjieff Fourth Way movement, Steiner's spiritual sciences, and Cayce's readings. We have the knowledge and the information for us to proceed and move the culture forward. Now, what he also brings to the fore in his information is the fact that there are, in the mystery schools, there are left-hand paths and right-hand paths. Now, the occult knowledge, the hidden knowledge that is often that moves through as a current through these particular two paths. The left-hand path is a path that consolidates power into the hands of a few and keeps that power and information in the hands of the few, so they can remain in power and advance their agenda forward. And we've seen that today so blatantly, and it's been happening for many millennia. But now it's so overt in society. There are such a small amount of people who consider themselves to be elites, who are moving an agenda forward, that the whole populace of this planet, not all of us, but a lot of the populace of this planet, are in a Motico mind virus mass formation. And they are under this mass formation, and through their silent acquiescence, they are allowing this left-hand path school of mystery school knowledge and adepts, and these nut jobs who are basically just pawns for the real power behind the curtain, the interdimensional power, and then the human power, the possessed human power, and then down to them, if they're not possessed themselves, they're just puppets and pawns for this left-hand path school. And the right-hand path school, which was go back in antiquity, you follow Edgar Cayce's work, which was the Amelius group. Sorry, the Amelius group. The left-hand path was the Belial group in Atlantis. And I'll get more into that shortly. But if you really want a really in-depth, powerful and deeper understanding of this whole process and who these two mystery school public schools were on Atlantis, Edgar Cayce's work and dark journalist's work, I would recommend you watch his videos of the X series. He's up to 126 now, I think, in his X series, 127 in his X series on YouTube. Just off the charts information, so great. So the Amelius Group, the Right Hand Path School, is a public mystery. It's a mystery school that wants to move the culture forward on a global level. Wants to move consciousness forward, and for it to evolve in a way that's much more benevolent for society. Whereas the left-hand path was to consolidate that power and keep society and keep culture and keep consciousness locked up in this control mechanism, in this matrix of control. And there's no one that I've seen. Icke is up there. Icke is Icke. Icke is in a league of his own. Let's put it that way. Icke is in a league of his own. He is in a league of his own. But Daniel Liszt, dark journalist, his recall, his knowledge, his research is so incredible. I'm always, when I watch his videos, I am blown away and by how much he's enriched my life with my deeper understanding of Rudolf Steiner's work, of George Gurdjieff's work, the Fourth Way work, and how that applies to our modern day society, how it applies to my life. The Edgar Cayce readings and Atlantis rising in the hot zone, which is the Caribbean sort of region between Cuba, the Yucatan, and Venezuela, South America. This whole region where the last remnants of Atlantis was before it sunk beneath the ocean, due to huge cataclysmic events, and of course the destruction of the continent by the Belial group using the two-eye crystal as a means to conduct war and conquering, and of course which it backfired and sunk Sardia, the last part of that continent, the last island of Atlantis, into the what is now the Caribbean. But I'm not going to go too much into that information, because I think really if you want the in-depth, powerful, really deep revelations of this information and what it means and how it applies to us now and what we're seeing in regards to geopolitical events, I would always recommend that you go watch Dark Journalist's videos and watch his X series, because it's just, I can't do justice to what I've learned, to what he shares. Oh, he's just, I mean, to me, it's just next level. Just next level. So great. And the people that he's introduced me to over the years of his work, the people whose knowledge that he has asked to come onto his shows to share with him, and the questions that he asks, the people that join him in what he calls the ideas room, his chat room. He calls it the ideas room. The questions that people ask are so incredibly powerful, so deeply intelligent, and also so provoking in regards to the way that we think, the way that we understand situations, and his answers are just so fantastic. This guy's really quite a special character and a very very powerful researcher. But what has happened for me when he's brought on certain people like Catherine Austin Fitz, I've had a deeper understanding of the economic situation and the forces that move through what she calls Mr. Global, who are all in themselves adepts on some level through mystery schools, but also who are basically pawns on some level too, at least the ones we see in the public, pawns for the real power, as Icke says in The Spider's Web, which are the secret societies we don't see, that aren't in public, the think tanks we don't see in public, who are therefore, and then as you go through the pyramid of compartmentalization, you see that these people basically are way down the chain that we see in the public. The real power is hidden in the shadows. Always has been for millennia, and the real power in itself is an interdimensional force that is non-human. And my perspective, and many other researchers' perspectives as well, and I write about this quite blatantly and quite clearly, and entwined and united the books with Armand Sueño, the two novels that I wrote in the Shadow and Soul series. So she has brought me to a place of deeper understanding in the economic sense and the financial world that we're living in today and what's going on there, but also the spiritual connection with that financial and economic world. This battle that we are finding ourselves in, the spiritual war we're finding ourselves in, and which also ascertains into a more physical sense, and the magic around finance, the magic around currency, the magic around money, this ancient Sumerian Babylonian spell that was cast, and how that works. And then we moved to Dr. Joseph P. Farrell's work, and that becomes like an enormous spreadsheet of information. Nazi International. We go deep into esoteric Christianity, esoteric knowledge. It goes very deep into hidden histories and hidden technologies, paleophysics. I just finished one of his books, The Giza Death Star, which is it's actually his first book he wrote, and the paleophysics in that book, and his notion and his discovery and his proposition that the Giza pyramid, the main one at least, was a weapon. Whew, man, just incredible work. And I'm not that schooled in regards to reading physics and understanding physics, but I did my best to comprehend it. But I got the gist of what he was saying as best I possibly could. But his work goes through so many layers. He's very Icke-esque as well in regards to the information he presents. And I really feel as though he's like, to me, whenever he's on with Dark Journalist, on his shows, it's so engaging and so deeply informative that I have to watch his videos over and over again just to get the gist of what he was saying and to understand the depth of where he comes from. I mean, this guy's recall of knowledge, like the Farrell's recall of knowledge, is incredible. GizaDeathStar.com is his website, and I would recommend anyone who goes there to look at his blogs and listen to his news and views from the Nefarium podcast he does every Thursday. Incredible work, it really is. And of course, along with these two mainstays, Gigi Young, who's a psychic intuitive and intuitive coach, whose work I've done over the years too. I've learned with her to learn how to become more clairvoyant, more clairaudient, more clairsentient, and more clairsalient, which is the clear smelling, and developing my own psychic intuitions, my psychic abilities, my extrasensory perception. I did all the courses about 2 years ago. But her insights into many mystery school elements, her insights into the movements we have in today in regards to the race to Mars, her work on YouTube with that, her Mars mysteries, her Mars work, off the charts. Gigi Young, off the charts. But she brings it to his broadcasts, his videos, when she talks to him, when they have an interaction. Her intuitive knowledge that she brings is just incredible in regards to where she goes, where she finds the information, and how prescient the information is when she finds it and when she brings it together with the information in Dark Journalist and where he's going. There's this connection there, like she's a bridge between the mystery schools 100 years ago and the mystery schools today. Like as if the mystery schools 100 years ago moved through Gurdjieff, moved through Ouspensky, moved through Casey, moved through Rudolf Steiner, and in the modern day, the mystery schools have moving their energy through someone like Gigi Young, and Gigi Young brings to his podcasts, to his videocasts, something powerful and amazing in regards to the research that is offered to people, and the knowledge that she brings, so incredible. Elana Freeland is another person that Dark Journalist has talked to over the years that has been essential for me to understand the technological developments, military and otherwise, that have come through into modern society and are being used covertly behind closed doors, but on the public in general, and where the transhumanist agenda is going, and how the biosphere of the planet is being affected by technological means, the patterns that are out there. And in my book that I began to write in 2020, I read Under an Ionized Sky, which is one of her books that she wrote, I think 3 or 4 years ago. I read it in it was pretty scientific, and a lot of patterns, a lot of information, a lot of military applications, a lot of information in that book was just really quite intense to read. I took notes from it. I was reading it, and a lot of the information that I gleaned from that book, that Under an Ionized Sky, I was writing about in regards to the nature of the connection between Dr. Farrell's work on Nazi International, CERN, the Hadron Collider in Europe, and Elana Freeland's work in regards to the transhumanist agenda and where we're moving towards, and then Steiner's work with Aruman and the technological overlay of the eighth sphere into this reality. I was drawing together all those three elements, and I have Dark Journalist to thank for the information that I discovered through this process of watching his videos over the last 4 years. I have Dark Journalist to thank for the beginning of that book and through the middle of that book, because all the information that I've been writing about I got from the books of Dr. Farrell, Elana Freeland, and the work of Rudolf Steiner, and through Dark Journalist's elaboration of that work of Rudolf Steiner. And I'm about a third of the way through that book. I wrote for like 9 hours a day for about 3 weeks during our lockdown in 2020, and I wrote about a third of that book, and I haven't finished it. But a lot of the information that I've got in that book, I wouldn't have found it, wouldn't have come across it if it wasn't for Dark Journalist Daniel Liszt and what he brought into that and brought to me in regards to my own personal research and what I discovered in the work that he has brought into the public. So incredible, so amazing, and I'm so grateful to have my friend introduce me to Dark Journalist. And I'm always, every Saturday, because in the United States he usually does a video cast every Friday night in the United States, and every which translates in this part of the world comes through about between 11 and 12 on Saturday mornings in New Zealand. And I won't often, unless it's a rainy day, I won't watch the podcast during the day because I'm out doing stuff, but I will break it down and watch it in segments over 2 or 3 days, because the information is so deep. Where he goes is so powerful, and the information he presents is so intense quite a lot of the time in regards to the levels it goes through and the number of people he brings into his research and how they all interconnect, how he joins all the dots, that I have to break it down because there's just so much to take in. But they have been a lot, like now my understanding of world events, my understanding of geopolitical events, my understanding of how the mystery schools move through these events, how the guests that he brings onto his show over the years have allowed me to get a deeper understanding and to fill in the blanks where that I haven't got from Icke's work. For me now, I'm more drawn towards Dark Journalist's work than I am towards Icke's work, because I believe and I feel as though Icke has given me the foundation to move from into another level of understanding. And with Rigmarole, with the book I was writing with Dick Swabb, when I eventually finish that book, I do intend to finish it. I know exactly where it's going. I know exactly where I want to take it. I have to say that, like I said before, and I'll say it again, I have to thank Dark Journalist for the information presented in his video cast, because I wouldn't be able to write the book that I'm writing and have been writing in 2020 if it wasn't for the information that he presented in his video casts, and how much it's enriched my understanding of the nature of what the CERN Hadron Collider is, and how Aruman, in the Steiner philosophy, spiritual sciences, how Aruman's incarnation onto this planet in order to further the agenda of transhumanism, which is, if you look at Klaus Schwab's 2016 lectures about the idea that by 2030 humanity will be there'll be an interface between humanity and technology, which we call transhumanism. It will be here by 2030. If you look at that and look at where we're going to and what's happened in the last couple of years, we are full steam ahead, heading towards it. And what Dark Journalist has done in the last few years, and through the X series and other lectures as well, has shown us where we're heading to, has given us the tools through the mystery schools, enlightened us through the mystery schools, through the work of Gurdjieff, through the work of Steiner, through the work of Casey, has shown us how to address the situation, understand it, understand where it's going, and given us the tools in order for us to be able to say, no, we're not gonna deal with that. We're not gonna thank you for the offer, but we're not gonna take it. we're going to move in a more organic path. The work of G.G. Young, who's come forward and said, this is where we want to go towards. This is what's happening. This is where they want to go. This is what their ideas are. This is what their mentality is. This is what they've been envisioning, and this is the way we move towards a more spiritual, organic, and more inclusive and powerful right-hand path, mystery school path towards the benevolent enrichment of the culture globally as we move towards a paradigm shift into a paradise, and as we transition from an iron age, a dark age, into a more expansive age, which will be the Bronze Age, which will come at some point in the next few thousand years, few millennia. As we transition into that phase, as we take the right-hand path rather than the left-hand path, which is what Dark Journalist has shown through his work with work in regards to translations of the Icke work, which shows from an historical sense the Atlantean mystery schools of the Belial group, the left-hand path, that wanted to consolidate all the information, all the technological advancements of that civilization, consolidate it into the hands of a few so they could control the many, use it for wage war and conquering other civilizations around the planet at the time, and probably intergalactically as well, if not interdimensionally. And then of course the Amelius group that wanted to move the culture forward in a benevolent way, to reach out to cultures across the planet, globally, interdimensionally, intergalactically, in a way that was benevolent for all civilizations. You can think of like Star Trek here and what do they call it, the Federation of Planets, something like that anyway, But that was in the past. Also, also with Dark Journalist and the information that he's presented through the X series, I really love the fact that what he's done for me, he has showed me through his work that a lot of the sightings I had of craft that I've seen over the years, where at some point I was at a point where I was thinking, okay, I've seen these triangular craft for so many years all over the world. Who is flying them? Where are they coming from? And at a point I might have thought to myself, E.T., man, it's all about E.T. But when I understand the X technology, the X advancements of technological advancements from the past civilizations. For example, if you read the Casey readings, and he talks about the Casey readings quite a lot, about the nature of the civilization of Atlantis and how advanced they were in regards to technological advancements, where they had craft that could fly through mountains. They had craft that could fly, that could soar underneath the water and could fly in general. They could travel interdimensionally across the galaxy and throughout the galaxy and beyond the galaxy, and probably through time and space as well. And of course you go through once again into the Vedic cultures, and you look at the Vedic texts. They talk about ancient technologies in the Vedic texts, the Vimanas, the flying ships and the Vimanas in the ancient texts, and of course how to build these, and the weaponry that they had and the wars that they had back then as well. It all makes sense if you look at this information, that some of the craft that we could be seeing today in the craft in the sky that aren't airplanes or aren't supposedly UFOs, are only back-engineered aircraft, back-engineered technologies that have been consolidated by the Belial group left-hand path, that have been taken into account with also the fact that the Nazis were also, at the end of the Second World War, thanks to Hans Kammerstab in Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, where the Wunderwaffe, the wonder weapons technologies were being tested and researched. And of course, George Patton's Third Army, when they heading towards Berlin to meet the Russians in Berlin at the end of the Second World War, diverted down into the Czech Republic, what is now the Czech Republic, to go to Pilsen to get this information out of this lab, out of Kammer's lab, and got all these patents, all this information, all this research. And you look at that, and I think that thanks to Dark Journalist and Dr. Farrell's research on this, and I didn't know this, once again coming back into that whole drive-in theatre perspective of looking at this huge screen and not seeing history through the camera lens of a smartphone, I've been able to ascertain that a lot of these craft that we are seeing in this fake CIA, United States alien threat UAP horseshit is just that. And Dark Journalist does a really amazing job of tearing down that UAP threat, CIA, Deep State, Project Bluebeam, alien threat card, trump card they're going to play at some point, and takes it down. Because, you know, if you look at what he presents as well in regards to the information he presents through his videos, is that you're looking at a situation where this advanced tech was around thousands of years ago, maybe even hundreds of thousands of years ago. And these people in the Belial group, the left-hand path, and of course the left-hand path would include the Nazi occultists, who understood this technology and were researching into it. They've taken it, they've consolidated it, and they've been using it in black projects, in black budgets, have been utilizing this information. And then if you look at Catherine Austin Fitts, and this is one of the things too that Daniel Lynch has brought forth with Catherine Austin Fitts, is that the missing money out of the Pentagon. Like she did an audit. She was a former assistant director of housing under the Clinton administration. In the Clinton administration, and she did an audit and discovered a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. Something like 120 odd $trillion went missing out of the budgets, out of the budget from the Pentagon. Was gone. Where do you spend that kind of money? Think about that. Where do you spend that kind of money? And this information was brought forth by her and was shared with Dark Journalists, you know, and it came out of, he was the one that brought it forward. And then after that, through her work, and then after that, Dr. Mark Skidmore came forth and said, hang on a minute, that can't be true. And he did an audit as well and discovered that it was true and that there was more missing, you know, than just what she said, you know. So where does that money go to? Let me think about it. If you've got a left-hand path that is developing a hidden technology through defense contractors, and they have this technology and they're developing it, it makes perfect sense to me that they're utilizing this technology for whatever reason to create a potential alien UFO threat, to play a trump card for more control and more consolidation of power through emergency powers, which we've had for many, many, many years in all parts of the world due to 9/11. So the deeper you go with this information, the more you understand that, the more that you watch his videos and the more you go through what he's shared over the years, for me anyway, looking at the situation, moving through this, I have got such a deeper grasp on what's going on. And the most important thing of all about all of this, of all this information that he's presenting, it's all on the record. You can find everything he talks about on the record. It's all on the record. None of it's in any way is being pulled out of the ether. It's there for you to find. You can research it yourself and find it. Then you can discern for yourself whether it rings true with you. And that's one of the things too, I think, really important thing with Dark Journalists and the people that come onto his show, is that the information is there for you to look at. And when someone's speculating on something, they'll say it's a speculation. I'll tell you it's a speculation. There's no, this is the truth. They will let you know that they're speculating, which is really important, because some researchers will just waffle on absolute rubbish and it'll make absolutely no sense, but people will buy into it. But with Dark Journalist and his guests that come on his show, all the information that they present is there for you to discern and for research yourself to know whether it rings true with you. Now, I have had my eyes opened and my mind opened and my heart opened and my understanding of reality opened in a way like it has never been before. And I'm so grateful for the knowledge that I have got, for the experiences that I've had, for the laughter, for the revelations, for the privilege and the honor of being able to watch Dark Journalist's videocast on YouTube every Saturday, and then watch them during the week, because like I said before, often they're so intense that I have to break them down to watch them, and I watch them again and again and again, because his guests, so informative, go so deep, the revelations so massive, and to me, I am truly humbled and so grateful that dark journalist is out there, and the information that he's shared with us and continues to share with us, and the knowledge that he's imparted for me in regards to the Gurdjieff work, the Fourth Way, Steiner's anthroposophy, Icke Casey's work on Atlantis, all of this and what he's brought to my knowledge through his own personal research has been instrumental in my processes of understanding the nature of reality, and I am so grateful. So grateful. So thank you, Dark Journalist. Thank you to all the guests that appear on his shows. Thank you for what you share. Amazing. So powerful. Has changed my life in a massive way, and I really, 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 really appreciate it. Rigmarole would not be possible without the work of Rudolf Steiner, Dr. Farrell, and Elana Freeland, and Dark Journalist. When I finish that book, I will do my best to get a copy of that book to all of you. Thank you so much. Matewa. I'll see you again soon.